I think that, everyone in the world is capable of living outside the role or beyond the roles that they place themselves in. That's the human condition, we think we have a ceiling when it comes to our potential, and the truth is that there is no ceiling. You're not just a dad, you're not just a banker, you're not just a brother or a son or a convict. It doesn't matter. Everyone is infinitely bigger than the roles they place themselves in.
Well, here's something I never thought I'd say, but it's time to react to a brand new song and video from Linkin Park called Lost. New in the technical sense, but actually, from what I've been hearing, this was a B-side from Meteora that never got released until now. And that record really defined my early teen years for me, so I'm highly interested in hearing something else from that era. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on social media at the Linktree link in the description below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to my Patreon, where you can get bonus content and exclusive videos, and more. And if you join Tier 4 on Patreon, you can make a song request and guarantee a reaction to it right away. So if you want that special VIP treatment, definitely go check it out. Alright, Linkin Park, Lost official music video. Without further ado, let's check it out. Oh, that sounds very Meteora-like. Okay, so before Chester kicks in with the singing here, I just want to quickly comment on the video. It looks like very anime style, which they've kind of weaved in and out of their imagery before in the past, right? Like a little bit. Like we have the giant mech suit on the cover of Reanimated, which I still say is a really awesome album cover. Also, the only other video that I remember being animated was the one for Breaking the Habit. But let me know if there were others that I'm forgetting about. Interesting so far, and I really like how right off the bat it just had that Meteora vibe. Very promising so far. Let's keep going.
Just a scar somewhere down inside of me, something I cannot repair, even though it will always be. I pretend it isn't there. I'm trapped in yesterday.
Wow, this is taking me back to the past, even though it's new.
And I'll never break away, 'cause when I'm alone, I'm lost in these memories.
Oh, this is amazing.
Behind my own illusion, lost all my dignity, living inside my own confusion.
Okay, so given the sad material on this song, I'm aware that it maybe is a little bit strange for me to be so excited and happy, but this just takes me back, man. This just takes me back to when music felt so new to me. Everything felt so new and fresh when it came to music. I was so, I was so new to music. Like, I had just not grown up with a lot of it. And just, I remember sitting down and putting Meteora in my CD player for the very first time and just feeling chills all over me when I for the very first time heard the entire album. And just the way that made me feel in that moment so many years ago, I just felt again when I heard this new song. And of course, when I say that, I don't mean that in the literal sense, but you guys know what I mean. Like, it just gives me this, like, really nostalgic vibe that brought, like, instant happiness into me. Like, yeah, it's like a little bit of a blast of my youth being thrown back into me, if that makes any sense at all. But yeah, I'm very aware it's heavy subject matter, and we will get into it afterward. But for now, let's keep watching and keep listening.
But I'm tired, I will always be afraid of the damage I've received, broken promises they made, and how blindly I believed.
Why wasn't this on the actual album? It's good enough.
Love his voice.
man, I hate to pause it again so quickly, but he just had so much more to give, He was such a good vocalist, an iconic vocalist. Like, his voice is so unique, and, the world of art and music is a lesser place without him in it. I really mean that. I have so much love and respect for his talent and what he contributed to metal and to music in general. Just hearing this, like, there's just something about his voice that is just so emotional in the most raw sense, Let me know what you think in the comments. I'm sure you guys agree. I mean, and I think this is the way he would want it. He would want fans to listen to this and feel happy rather than, be in the dark place that he was at the end. I think that Linkin Park has always wanted their music to kind of help people, to help them get through the dark times. And this is really, as dark and sad as the subject matter is, the song is just a vibe, and it just puts me in a good place right now, emotionally speaking. So I really like this. I do.
Inside, but I will never be alright. I try to keep this pain inside, but I will never be alright. I try to keep this pain inside.
Those layered vocals, so good. I love this.
Living inside my own confusion.
Wow. Yeah, first of all, let's just talk about how well done the music video was. Like, I would like to know what the story behind the video is. Like, who worked on this animation? Like, was this something that was done years ago and just released, like the song itself? Or was this a new video that was done for the, this release of the song? Either way, it was cool visually. I did like it. And if you know me well, if you've been following my channel for a while, then you know that animation isn't really my thing. Like, I'm not super into it, but I do respect the artistic style, and especially the anime style. Like, I've very often drawn in that style. I still will draw in that style. I like manga. So I really do like that visual kind of imagery, that particular style of art. And the fact that they put it in this video, it worked well not only for the song, but it was also eye-catching, it popped, and it made the video memorable in and of itself. As far as the music goes, yeah, this really feels like when I sat down for that very first time and popped Meteor into the CD player. The way that I heard it for the first time was I actually borrowed the CD from a local library, and that's how I got most of my music CDs. And I just brought it into my bedroom. I had this like old school CD player on top of this dresser, and I just put that in. I was completely unfamiliar with them, completely unfamiliar with that style of music in general. Like, I had never really even heard metal before. The only thing I had heard up to that point, other than this band, was a few songs by Slipknot and Mudvayne that a friend's brother had played for me. So this was really like an entry point into this kind of music and into this world for me, and it was so much of a culture shock to me, and it was just something so new, and it was so exciting. And I felt that excitement again when I heard this song, and that really says something not only about their talent, but their ability to connect listeners to a certain time and a certain emotional sensibility. I think they're talented on many levels. And I think a lot of people forget that because their music has been played so often on the radio, and they become such a mainstream band, and so many people know them. Sometimes people who are into more underground metal, like me, for example, people tend to dismiss them, and I don't think that's fair. I think that they're an extraordinary, fantastic band, and again, rest in peace to Chester, because this world is so much of a lesser place without his artistic talent in it, without his soul and his humanity in it. And I just thoroughly enjoyed this from start to finish. It was just exhilarating. It really was. And his voice was really what gave me chills in this, especially when he sang that chorus. I'm definitely going to be listening to this one again. It'll probably go on some playlist, but either way, this is a very, very re-listenable song. Yeah. Not much else to say about the music, man. I'm really happy I finally got around to checking this one out because I have seen it pop up on YouTube. I've seen other people reacting to it, and I'm glad I finally jumped on that bandwagon and gave it a chance. Wow, the song really held its own, and it really felt like a Meteor era song. So, let's see what the song has to say. Just a scar somewhere deep down inside of me, something I cannot repair, even though it will always be. I pretend it isn't there, and this is how I feel. I'm trapped in yesterday, just stay out of my way. Where the pain is, all I know, this is all I know. And it'll never break away, can't break free, because when I'm alone, I'm lost in these memories, living behind my own illusion, lost on my dignity, living inside my own confusion. But I'm tired, I will always be afraid of the damage I've received, broken promises they made, and how blindly I believed. This is all I know. I try to keep this pain inside, but I will never be alright. Man. So, Linkin Park always tended to be a bit more straightforward and sort of surface level when it came to the lyrical writing, and this is an example of that. Not to say that they don't have their deep moments when it comes to the writing, because they definitely do. I mean, on Hybrid Theory especially, there were really clever and well-worded lines. But this one is a bit simpler and repetitive lyrically, and it touches upon a pretty common and relatable theme. Where the emotional impact comes in, of course, is when you realize that, in many ways, this was probably Chester crying for help as much as it was him trying to help others. Like, both things were happening simultaneously, I think. And it's interesting how that relationship between artist and fan works, where we spend so much time relating a song to ourselves and whatever we're going through, that we never think much about the place that it's coming from and what the actual songwriter is going through. And this band obviously has tons of songs that have had this profound emotional weight to them, this sense of depression and desperation. Now, of course, there is a certain specificity to his pain here, because he talks about something in particular happening in his past that still lingers and still haunts him. It's left him feeling ashamed and broken. And it sounds like maybe some form of abuse. I'm not sure, and I don't know Chester's backstory before he joined Linkin Park, so if you know some of the background info, definitely drop it into the comments below. I'd really be interested in reading about it. And that's also assuming, of course, that this is about Chester. It could be about another band member's life, or someone they know, or it could even be meant as a general song meant to reach out to anyone who has gone through abuse or feels lost or broken. Again, I think Chester and the rest of the band always tried to help with their lyrics as much as they may have shared their own moments of helplessness. And that's one of the benefits of the artist and fan connection. Music can be like this shared healing experience in a very quid pro quo kind of way. And I think that makes it unique in terms of artistic mediums. It's a really awesome thing to witness and to experience. So, this seems to be a story about him or someone trying to hide their pain and move on, kind of grit their teeth and smile, and try and enjoy life. But it's almost like they're seeing the light of life and the world through a faraway lens. They can see the happiness in others, but they can't touch it or be part of it. They're on the other end, still caught up in the darkness of their past. One of my favorite songs by Linkin Park, off Meteora, is Easier to Run. And those lyrics also talk about things like the darkness of his past, and viewing and reviewing memories that he wishes he didn't have. And so there's definitely, I think, a narrative through line in their songs, and that's why I do tend to think that this was a personal song for him. So, he talks about a scar down inside that he can't repair. He pretends it isn't there, but he's trapped in yesterday. He's lost his dignity and he's confused. And that, I would say, is the most interesting spin on this, because again, you have to think that something specifically bad happened to him in the past. Something that would rob him of his dignity and leave him feeling confused. And so again, it makes me circle back to the idea of abuse. But it could be about anything, really. But without knowing exactly what it is, it's left open to interpretation. And, I'm always someone who talks about finding the strength within yourself to heal and empower yourself and move on from your past and live in the moment as best you can. But the idea that a person really actually can't, like there's actually no way for them to ever do that, That's a pretty scary idea. And I don't necessarily know whether it's true. For someone who feels broken beyond repair, I think maybe it just takes a unique set of words or emotions and circumstances to help them piece themselves back together. And maybe those emotions and circumstances don't always line up in the right way, so as to allow that healing process to happen. Or sometimes maybe it happens too late. I don't know. In theory, I think that there always has to be a way to come back, no matter how lost you are. Call me an eternal optimist, I guess, but I always have to believe that the tools to repair ourselves exist within us, because this is what has worked for me. But again, that's just me. I don't know what someone else is going through on a deep spiritual or emotional level. And of course, I think that the idea that gets driven into so much of society that we're not enough, and that we need something greater than ourselves to be saved or, healed, I think that automatically cuts people off at the knees, because it disempowers people. What's the point of looking for greatness or any goodness in yourself if you can't help yourself without the aid of some greater thing that's so much bigger than us? I don't think it's that cut and dry, and I don't think it's true that we can't heal ourselves, that we don't have strength within us even at our weakest moments. And I don't think that's a contradiction. So it's a very deep, very, very complex thing to try and pick apart, to try and analyze. And, I'm not going to solve the depression crisis in one reaction video, but it is worth examining in different ways. And I think that different people's perspectives, including mine, can maybe help people in certain ways. It can maybe get someone to think differently about something. So if in any way it has that effect on you or anyone else watching this, that's awesome. And I hope that it helps even a little bit. But what I do know is that Chester was a great artist and musician, and from what I've heard people say, a very good person, and I tend to believe that. Some stereotypical sayings unfortunately ring true, and I do think it's true that too often the best of us leave this world way before our time. I think, of course, of my best friend who died in 2020, and he was a really good person who had a lot to contribute to the world, and this world is robbed of a great human being now that he's gone. And the same goes for so many of these artists that we lose. Chester Bennington, Chris Cornell, I could go on. Lane Staley, Depression is an ugly, ugly, ugly fucking enemy. I've gone through it also, and it's one of the ugliest, most unkillable monstrosities in this world. There's nothing like it, and it can boil beneath the surface, even as you're laughing and smiling and putting on a brave face. Or it can wreck you so much that you can't even sit up in bed or swallow a piece of food. And when I encourage everyone to fight back and take back their lives and overcome it, don't get me wrong, I'm definitely not making light of that struggle. I know how painful and how insurmountable it can be. It's such a difficult thing, and I don't know how collectively we as a society can help in a substantial way. I just know that the best we can do is help in small ways and encourage people to help themselves in a bigger way. But it's important that we continue to have songs like this. I call this artistic fuel for our war against pain and depression. Listening to something like this will hopefully allow people to recharge their batteries and live life as fully as they can, especially in honor of all the people who lost the fight and who aren't here anymore. So, I think it's powerful for that reason, powerful because it peels back the layers and shows the raw, sensitive, emotional side of Chester and many other artists, and I think that it was just so musically well done. So, great on every level, pretty much. I really like this one. So, gonna wrap it up there. Of course, if you're going through depression or any darkness, any kind of pain, there's always room for healing. There's always a time for healing. Don't give up and reach out to someone if you really need help. And also, believe that you can help yourself. Believe that you're a great person, because you are. So, it's down there somewhere. You just got to look for it. So, that's about it. I'll leave it off there. And to everyone who stuck around this long in the video, I really appreciate that. Your continued support means the world to me. If you are new, like, comment, and subscribe. Join the Nuclear family. There's a lot of great content around here for you to check out. There's more on the way. And I will catch you all on the next one.
I'm